You packed carefully, you followed the rules, you double-checked your bag the night before, and you still walked away from security without half of what you brought. It happens every single day. To careful travelers, to experienced flyers, to people who have flown for decades and thought they knew every rule. TSA does not always warn you first. They simply take the item, drop it in a bin, and send you to your gate while your belongings disappear behind them. Some of these items look completely harmless. Some even feel like smart travel habits. And that is exactly why they keep vanishing at checkpoints across the country. Airport rules change quietly, checkpoint technology improves every year, and screening officers get better at spotting things older travelers never had to think about, which means habits that worked fine a decade ago can now cost you an item, a delay, or an uncomfortable moment in front of a long line of strangers. Today we are exposing 9 items TSA confiscates constantly, including a few that surprise even frequent travelers who have flown dozens of times without ever hitting a problem. Stick around, because number 1 catches almost everyone off guard, and it involves something most travelers carry in their bag right now without a second thought. If this list saves you even one item at your next checkpoint, hit like right now and follow Fly Smart After 70 so you never walk into security unprepared again. Let us get into the list. Mistake 9. Peanut butter, Nutella, and other gel foods over 100 milliliters. You pack a jar of peanut butter for the flight, maybe as a snack, maybe as a gift, and you assume food is food, so it should be fine. TSA disagrees completely. Peanut butter, Nutella, honey, thick syrups, and similar spreadable foods are classified the same way as liquids, because they can be poured, spread, or smeared, and that classification puts them under the same 100 milliliter rule as shampoo or lotion. Travelers are stunned when a full-size jar gets pulled from their bag and dropped straight into the trash bin at the checkpoint. It does not matter that it is food, it does not matter that it was a gift, and it does not matter that you argue the ingredients are harmless. The rule is based on texture and consistency, not on what the product actually is. Officers have heard every argument, and the answer stays the same. Oversized containers of gel-like substances are removed on the spot. The smart move here is simple. Buy travel-size jars before your trip, or pack any full-size jar inside checked luggage instead of your carry-on. If you are visiting family and bringing a homemade jar as a gift, mail it ahead of time instead of carrying it through the checkpoint. A few dollars spent on travel containers can save an entire jar from being thrown away in front of a long line of strangers. This rule also catches travelers who pack hummus, thick salad dressing, or creamy dips for a picnic-style meal on the plane, since anything soft enough to spread or scoop falls under the same restriction, regardless of how healthy or harmless the ingredients actually are. Officers are not evaluating nutrition, they are evaluating physical consistency, and that single detail is what determines whether an item stays in your bag or ends up in the trash bin at the checkpoint. Grandparents traveling to visit family often make this mistake without realizing it, packing a favorite jar of jam or a homemade treat as a thoughtful gift, only to watch it disappear at the checkpoint in front of grandchildren who were excited to receive it, turning a kind gesture into an unnecessary and avoidable disappointment. Mistake 8. Power banks that exceed airline battery limits. You bring your portable charger because your phone battery drains fast, and that seems like responsible planning, not a security risk. Most of the time it is fine, but Many travelers carry power banks far larger than what airlines actually allow, without ever checking the number printed on the device. Airlines generally limit portable batteries to 100 watt hours without special approval, and anything above that gets flagged, questioned, or confiscated outright. The bigger issue is that most passengers have no idea how to even read that number, so they carry oversized chargers meant for laptops or camping trips, assuming any battery pack is treated the same as any other. Security officers see lithium battery fires as a real and serious risk, so oversized or unmarked power banks get extra scrutiny every time. Some travelers lose an expensive charger simply because the wattage label wore off or was never printed clearly, leaving the officer no way to confirm it meets the limit. Smart travelers check the watt-hour rating on their power bank before the trip. Keep it under 100 watt-hours whenever possible, and always carry it in a carry-on bag rather than checked luggage, since loose lithium batteries in the cargo hold are a fire hazard that airlines take extremely seriously. If your charger is unusually large or industrial in size, it is worth researching the exact limit before you ever reach the airport, because losing a $200 charger at the checkpoint is a painful and avoidable mistake. Travelers heading on long international flights are especially at risk here, since they often buy the largest power bank they can find, assuming bigger automatically means better, without realizing that the same capacity making it appealing for a long trip is exactly what pushes it past the airline limit and straight into confiscation territory. It is also worth noting that power banks are never allowed in checked luggage at all, regardless of size, so a traveler who tries to solve the problem by simply moving the charger to a suitcase headed for the cargo hold may end up losing the entire bag to additional screening instead of just the one item. Mistake 7. Loose lithium batteries without terminal protection. Spare batteries feel like basic travel preparation, especially for hearing aids, cameras, or small electronics that seniors often carry. The problem is not the batteries themselves, it is how they are packed. Loose lithium batteries rolling around in a bag can touch metal objects like coins, keys, or other batteries, and that contact can cause a short circuit, which in rare cases leads to overheating or even fire. TSA officers are trained to look for exactly this risk, and loose batteries without any protection are one of the most commonly confiscated small items in airports today. Many travelers are shocked when a handful of spare AA or lithium coin batteries gets taken, because the batteries look completely ordinary and harmless sitting in a side pocket. The rule exists because of real incidents, not paranoia, and officers are not willing to take chances with unprotected battery terminals bouncing around next to metal objects. The smart move is to keep every spare battery in its original packaging, or place tape over the terminals, or use a small plastic battery case designed exactly for this purpose. It takes 30 seconds at home, and it can prevent an officer from confiscating batteries specifically packed for a hearing aid or camera you will need the entire trip. Travelers who rely on hearing aids often carry a full week of spare batteries in a single unprotected pocket, never imagining that the very batteries keeping them connected during the trip could be pulled and discarded before they even reach the gate, leaving them without backup power for the rest of their travel days. A simple plastic pill organizer, the same one used for daily medication, works perfectly as a battery case, keeping each terminal separated and protected without spending a single extra dollar on special travel gear. Mistake 6. Log bottles of water or drinks forgotten in carry-ons. This mistake happens constantly, and it happens because of pure habit rather than carelessness. You fill your water bottle at home, or you grab a drink on the way to the airport, and it simply slips your mind that it is still sitting in your bag when you reach the checkpoint. Officers pull thousands of bottles from bags every single day, and most travelers are not trying to break any rule. They simply forgot the bottle was there. The frustrating part is that the bottle usually gets poured out and thrown away right in front of you, wasting a drink you paid for minutes earlier. Reusable water bottles cause the same issue when travelers forget. They fill them up before leaving the house. Assuming an empty bottle rule applies even when liquid is still inside. The smart move is to empty any bottle completely before reaching the security line, then refill it for free at a water fountain once you are past the checkpoint. This small habit saves money, avoids the awkward moment of dumping a drink in front of a long line, and keeps the process moving faster for everyone behind you. Seniors traveling with medication that requires water on a schedule should keep a small empty bottle handy, specifically for this reason, refilling it the moment they clear security. It also helps to check outer pockets and cup holders on rolling bags before joining the line, since forgotten drinks tend to hide in those small side compartments, and a quick check at home or in the parking garage takes far less time than emptying a full bottle while a long line of travelers waits behind you at the bin. Mistake 5. Duty-free alcohol at connecting checkpoints. You buy a bottle of wine or spirits at duty-free, feeling like you found a great deal, and you assume that sealed bag with the receipt protects it everywhere you go. That protection only works if your entire journey stays within the same security zone. The moment you have a connecting flight that requires passing through security again, especially at a different airport or a different country, that sealed duty-free bag no longer guarantees safe passage. Officers at the second checkpoint may not recognize the tamper-evident packaging, or the connecting airport may have different rules entirely, and travelers are frequently forced to give up bottles they just purchased minutes before boarding their first flight. This catches international travelers constantly, especially on itineraries with layovers that require rechecking through a new security line. The bottle that felt like a smart purchase becomes an expensive loss the moment a second screening is required. Smart travelers check their full itinerary before buying duty-free alcohol, confirming whether any connection requires passing through security again. If a second screening is required, it is often safer to purchase the bottle at the final connecting airport instead, or pack it directly into checked luggage if you have one, protected carefully to avoid breakage. Travelers connecting through busy hub airports are hit by this rule constantly, since a purchase made with excitement in one terminal can turn into a disappointing conversation with a different officer only a few hours later, and by then there is rarely any way to get a refund or keep the bottle safe. Mistake 4. Oversized toiletries and aerosol spray cans. Sunscreen, hairspray, shaving cream, and deodorant sprays feel like basic necessities. So many travelers pack full-size versions without a second thought. The 100 milliliter rule applies to these items just as strictly as it applies to shampoo, and aerosol cans bring an extra layer of scrutiny because of pressurized contents. A single oversized can of sunscreen or hairspray can end an otherwise smooth security experience. forcing travelers to either abandon the item or step out of line to check a bag they already sent through. Seniors packing for warm weather trips are especially likely to bring full-size sunscreen, not realizing the same liquid rule applies to spray sunscreen just as strictly as to lotion. Officers see this exact mistake dozens of times a day, and the response is always the same. The oversized container gets removed regardless of how much product is left inside. The smart move is to transfer sunscreen, hairspray, and similar products into approved travel size containers before the trip, or purchase travel size versions specifically made for flying. Packing these items in checked luggage instead of a carry-on avoids the issue completely, since the size restriction only applies to bags passing through the checkpoint. Travelers heading to beach destinations or tropical climates are especially likely to make this mistake, packing their favorite full-size sunscreen out of habit only to watch it disappear at the checkpoint minutes before boarding a flight to the exact kind of sunny destination where they will need it most. Mistake 3. Multi-tools or pocket tools with hidden blades. A small multi-tool feels practical, useful for tightening a loose screw, opening a package, or handling minor repairs during a trip. The problem is that many multi-tools include a folding blade, and any blade, no matter how small, is treated as a prohibited item in carry-on bags. Travelers are often surprised because the tool was a gift or has been carried for years without ever causing an issue on a road trip, and they assume the same rule applies at the airport. It does not. TSA officers are required to remove any tool with a blade component, even a tiny 2-inch blade tucked inside a larger multi-tool designed mainly for other functions. Many of these tools end up permanently lost, since travelers rarely have time to mail them home or find secure storage before their flight. This is especially common among travelers who carry the same bag for both daily use and air travel, forgetting that a tool acceptable everywhere else becomes a problem the moment it enters a security line. The smart move is to check every pocket and pouch of a bag specifically for tools before heading to the airport, removing anything with a blade and packing it in checked luggage instead, or leaving it at home entirely if the trip does not truly require it. This mistake is especially common among travelers who keep the same everyday carry bag for work, hobbies, and flights all at once, since a tool tucked away months earlier for a completely different purpose can sit forgotten until the exact moment a security officer pulls it out and holds it up in front of everyone in line. Even tools with a blade shorter than an inch are still treated the same way as a full-size knife, since the presence of any blade is what triggers confiscation, not the length or how dull the edge might be. And that surprises far more travelers than it should. Mistake 2. Self-defense items, including pepper spray, tactical pens, and Kubotans. Personal safety matters, especially for travelers who feel vulnerable in unfamiliar cities. So many people carry small self-defense tools without realizing how strictly they are regulated. Pepper spray is completely prohibited in carry-on bags, and even in checked luggage, it faces strict size and concentration limits that most travelers never bother to check. Tactical pens, which look like ordinary pens but are designed with a hardened striking tip, are treated as potential weapons and are almost always confiscated when spotted. Kubotans, small keychain self-defense tools, fall into the same category, even though they look like a simple metal rod attached to keys. Travelers are frequently caught off guard by this rule, because these items are legal to carry in daily life in many places. creating a false sense that airport rules must be similar. They are not. Officers are trained specifically to identify these tools, and confiscation happens immediately once one is spotted in a bag or pocket. The smart move is to research your specific self-defense item before packing it. Understanding that most are banned from carry-on bags entirely, and some cannot travel in checked luggage, either without meeting strict conditions. If personal safety is a priority during your trip, non-restricted alternatives, like carrying a personal alarm device, may offer protection without the risk of losing an item at the checkpoint. Solo travelers and those visiting unfamiliar cities for the first time are the most likely to pack these items, often as a gift from a concerned family member, never realizing that the exact tool meant to bring peace of mind becomes the reason for an uncomfortable conversation with a security officer only hours later. Mistake 1. Prescription medications outside their original lab-led bottles. This is the mistake that catches the most travelers completely off guard, especially seniors managing multiple daily medications. To stay organized, many travelers transfer pills into a weekly pill organizer, a small unlabeled container, or a single bag to save space. It feels efficient, and for years it may have caused no issues at all. The risk appears the moment a security officer needs to verify what a medication actually is, because unlabeled pills offer no way to confirm the contents, the dosage, or who they belong to. While TSA does allow medication in reasonable quantities beyond the standard liquid limits, that allowance depends heavily on the ability to identify what is being carried, and pills removed from their original labeled bottles create exactly the confusion officers are trained to flag. Liquid medications face the same issue, since unlabeled bottles cannot be quickly confirmed as medically necessary, leading to additional screening, delays, or in some cases, confiscation of the product entirely. Travelers managing heart medication, blood thinners, or other essential daily prescriptions have found themselves stuck at the checkpoint explaining pills that have no visible connection to their name or prescription. Smart travelers keep at least a small supply of each medication in its original labeled bottle, even if the rest is organized into a weekly pill case for convenience. Carrying a printed list of medications and dosages, along with the prescribing doctor information, adds another layer of protection if questions come up. This single habit prevents one of the most stressful and medically important items from ever becoming a problem at the checkpoint. It is also worth remembering that travel days often shift medication schedules, delayed flights, early boarding calls, and time zone changes can all disrupt a routine that has worked perfectly at home for years. So keeping medication clearly labeled and easy to access is not only about the checkpoint, it is about staying on schedule once you are already in the air. It also helps to pack a few extra days of every medication beyond the length of the trip itself, since flight delays, missed connections, and unexpected schedule changes can stretch a short trip into a much longer one, and running out of a labeled prescription while stranded in an unfamiliar city is a stress no traveler wants to face. Every one of these 9 items has ended someone's trip on a frustrating note, not because travelers were careless, but because airport rules are rarely explained clearly before departure. A little preparation the night before, checking container sizes, confirming battery ratings, and keeping medication properly labeled prevents almost every one of these situations entirely. Which of these items have surprised you at a checkpoint before, Tell us in the comments, we read every one of them. If this video helped you prepare for your next flight, follow Fly Smart after 70 for more real travel guidance built specifically for travelers who want to move through airports with confidence instead of stress. And we will see you in the next video with more secrets the airlines never tell you. Traveling later in life should feel calm and enjoyable, not stressful and unpredictable. And the difference usually comes down to a handful of small habits practiced before you ever leave the house. So keep that checklist in mind, share it with a friend who is flying soon, and walk into your next checkpoint knowing exactly what to expect instead of finding out the hard way, because a smooth checkpoint experience is the first real sign that the rest of the trip is going to go just as smoothly.